Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Today we have an Iwaizumi X listener. It's of course by Boobop on AO3, the link will be in the description, go check them out, and let's go ahead and get into it. He can't really recall the exact moment he fell in love with you. It happened so slowly, starting off with the tiniest flutter of butterfly wings in his stomach, eventually blooming into a feeling so strong he couldn't even begin to describe what he felt for you. And sometimes, bitterly, he'd lay in bed, staring up at the ceiling, knowing that he loved you first. Not that it would have changed anything, really. With the way you and Tooru looked at each other, he could have screamed from the top of his lungs that he loves you with his entire being, and he'd still be too far lost in his best friend's eyes to even remember that he was there. As heartbroken as he was, he couldn't bring himself to hate his best friend for winning over the person of his dreams. How could he blame anyone when it was he who was too cowardly to confess his true feelings to you? No one, not a single soul, knew of his feelings. It would kill Tooru if he knew. It would plant a seed of conflict in his heart. Should he stay with you knowing that Iwaizumi's heart broke every second you didn't love him? Or should he tear himself away from you to spare his best friend from having to watch his first, and only love, grow old with someone else who wasn't him? He could never do that to him. And so he lied and lied and lied over and over again, just to make you two happy. He didn't think he'd ever have to lie so much to his best friends. I think I have feelings for Tooru. He remembers you whispering to him as tears formed in your eyes, your fists clenched by your sides. Iwaizumi's mouth parted in shock, realizing that the anger festering within the both of you at that very moment was jealousy. You, jealous of the numerous girls that crowded around Oikawa, and him, jealous that your eyes were focused on someone else. You first, him second, he'd remind himself. He shouldn't prioritize his feelings. He shouldn't. So he reached over and pulled you into a hug to comfort you, biting back his own tears that threatened to fall from his eyes. Am I stupid for liking that idiot? He sniffled. Yes, you are. Of course not. He lied. Not even an hour after your outburst, Oikawa had pushed through the girls and took you away to tell you something in private. Does he regret letting Oikawa plucking you out of his arms so easily that day? Absolutely. Why? Because that same day, right before practice, the two of you showed up hand in hand, happily announcing your relationship. I didn't know you liked a listener like that, Iwaizumi remarked, masking his hurt with his usual uninterested tone. Oikawa flushed and rubbed his neck sheepishly, avoiding Iwaizumi's eyes. Yeah, well, I didn't realize until last week, and I wasn't even sure of my feelings until I saw them crying today, Oikawa confessed. Are you kidding me? Iwaizumi bit his lip to hide the way his lip wobbled. I've loved them for 3 years, and he comes running in, not even sure of his feelings, sweeping you right over your feet within a week of realizing his feelings? You're happy for me, aren't you? Oikawa frowned, sensing the negativity radiating off his friend. Iwaizumi shook himself out of his bitter thoughts and patted Oikawa on the back like he always did, a forced smile on his face. Of course I'm happy for you. Iwaizumi paused, swallowing the lump in his throat. I think you two are perfect for each other. For the next few weeks, he'd wonder if he was a terrible person for hoping they wouldn't last. Every moment spent with both of you was a stab right into his heart, and there was no avoiding it. You two are his best friends, after all, so he'd tell himself that he'd get over it eventually. Surely he'd run out of love to give at some point, right? And boy, was he wrong. His love for you stood just as strong as her relationship with Oikawa, even after leaving Japan and everyone else behind you to go study in the US. His first and last thought would be you. He didn't dare check his social media, knowing that you hopped on a plane with Oikawa to support his dreams in Argentina. Knowing you two, there would definitely be cutesy couple pictures posted just about every day, and he'd rather not fuel the ache in his heart. But he couldn't allow himself to pretend that you guys didn't exist. Not when the guilt weighed on his mind with every excuse he made up to miss yours and Oikawa's calls. Iwa-chan, you finally picked up. Oikawa's annoying chipper voice rang in Iwaizumi's ears. And honestly, it was nice. He had missed his best friends. Tooru, he really answered this time? Iwaizumi squeezed his eyes shut as he heard your voice in the background. Hey guys. Idiot, since when did you stutter? We're so glad you picked up. We've been trying to reach you for a while now. We have some good news, you exclaimed. He proposed. We didn't want to post anything without telling you first, since we wanted to be the ones to tell you. Iwaizumi immediately froze, his heart dropping to the floor and breaking into a million pieces. Marriage. He didn't know why it was hurting more than it did before, and that was saying something. And then he realized that as much as he convinced himself that he wasn't holding on to this stupid hope that the two of you wouldn't last, but marriage, it felt so permanent. You weren't even married yet, but it was set in stone, carved in the cracks of his heart. Iwa, are you there? Your question pulled him out of his whirlwind of thoughts and dragged him back into the harsh reality that was your love for Oikawa. Yeah, wow, engaged. He faked enthusiasm. That's amazing. I'm just... wow. And I'm hoping you'd be so honored as to be my best man, Oikawa happily asked. Yeah, of course. Nothing would make me happier. Well, except for you. And so, he dreaded the day he'd have to watch you walk down the aisle with his best friend standing at the end. There was a part of him that was truly happy for you two, and he felt ashamed that his heartache overpowered it. Was it selfish? Yeah, maybe. He can't control his emotions. Are you nervous? No. Oikawa waved Iwaizumi off, disregarding the fact that he couldn't stop shaking. It's totally not like I thought I could think up the vows once I'm at the end of the aisle. I'm seriously not panicking about not knowing what to say. For the first time that day, Iwaizumi cracked a genuine smile. It's been a while since he's seen his idiot best friend lose his composure. It was refreshing, maybe even a little nostalgic. Shigegawa, you've got nothing to worry about, trust me. Do you need help writing it? He offered, gesturing to the vanity where notepad and pen sat amongst the makeup. Oikawa gave Iwaizumi a grateful smile before sitting up. I just don't know what to say. There's so many things I want to tell them, and it all just gets jumbled up in my head, Oikawa sighed. So please help me come up with some beautiful poetry to impress them. I've got it. You just sit back and relax. Let your best man take care of it. Iwaizumi grinned, clapping the groom on the back. Thank you, Iwa-chan. And so, he wrote the vows for the groom of the person he's always wanted. Listener, you are the first and last thing I think of every day. There are no words to describe the extent of my love for you. Infinity doesn't even come close to explaining how much love I have for you. There's not a single person out there that could compare to you in my eyes. No offense. Iwaizumi let out a laugh along with the rest of the room, laughing through his tears. and loving you has ruined every other person for me. Out of the billions of people on this planet, there's no one I'd rather have standing here with me in this church besides you." A sniffle escaped Oikawa as he paused to compose himself. "I promise I'll always be there to hold you when you cry, that I'll always be running back home to you at the end of the day. I promise that you're the only one who holds my heart, the only one that will ever hold my heart. I promise that I'll keep loving you during the good times and especially the bad times. You are and always will be the only one for me. I love you." At that very moment, Iwaizumi knew that he and everyone besides Oikawa were invisible to you. The two of you were in your own world, a world he couldn't ever wish to be a part of. "I knew I'd find you here." Iwaizumi almost dropped his drink at the sound of Oikawa's voice, just when he thought he could take a break from both the happiest and saddest day of his life. "Wait, shouldn't you be partying with them?" Iwaizumi nudged the groom playfully as he sat down next to him on the bench, the two old friends staring off into the unlit garden. "Well, it's kinda hard to celebrate when my best friend is out here being all mysterious. Just needed some fresh air is all. I know you're in love with Listener." "Shit! Don't be ridiculous," Iwaizumi muttered in an attempt to play it cool. "I'm not interested in the person who my best friend just married." On the surface, his face was calm, a little irritated. Oikawa knew better, though. "I've known for a long time," Oikawa admitted. "What?" The former ace snapped his head towards his best friend. "Stop playing around, Oikawa, you're pissing me off." "You don't have to get all defensive. I really don't mind. Well, I can't blame you. I fell in love with them too, you know. They're weird like that." Iwaizumi remained quiet for a few seconds, trying to process that his crush's husband just told him that he didn't mind that he was madly in love with them so casually. Unexpectedly, there was a calm that washed over him, and he couldn't quite place where it was coming from. "How long?" Iwaizumi finally broke through the silence. "Since graduation. Listener was giving their speech, and I turned to you to gush about how gorgeous they looked. I didn't even have to tell you anything, not when you were staring at them like they were the most beautiful thing you've ever seen." Oikawa chuckled. "I wasn't even mad." "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize, Iwa-chan. Love isn't something someone should apologize for. All I know is that my best friend cares for the love of my life just as much as I do. And frankly, it's reassuring. There's someone out there besides me who would do anything to keep them happy. And that shouldn't be a bad thing. It isn't. I know you'd never do anything to sabotage us. You're not the type to do so. I trust you and them." "Tooru." Iwaizumi stared at Oikawa, unsure what to say. The scattered pieces of his broken heart were slowly coming back together, an incredible weight lifted off of his shoulders. "All I ask is that you stick around. I know it hurts to see us together, but we love you, we really do." "Of course." Finally, the words that slipped out of his mouth were void of any lies. He meant it. Alright, so that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. Happy birthday to Iwaizumi! Yeah, because it's June 10th. Anyways, I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whatever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!